The village of Oakhaven was a gentle place. Small cottages nestled amongst green hills. Winding lanes whispered secrets to the breeze. Flowers bloomed in colourful gardens. Birds sang sweet songs from tall trees. Life moved slowly here. People were kind and knew their neighbours. It was a place where peace felt at home. The air was always fresh and clean. It was a lovely, quiet spot. Mr. Sato lived in one of these small cottages. He was an old artist with kind eyes. His hands were speckled with paint of many colours. He lived a very quiet life, mostly by himself. Every morning he would wake with the sun. He would make a simple cup of tea, then he would paint. He painted the flowers, the hills, the sky. His little cottage was filled with his beautiful pictures. He found joy in every brushstroke. One autumn, a new family moved in next door. They had a young daughter named Aiko. Aiko was not well, she was quite poorly. Her parents hoped the clean village air would help her. She spent her days resting in her room. Her window looked out onto an old brick wall. A sturdy ivy vine clung to this wall. It was covered in many green leaves. Aiko watched it often from her bed. Autumn was painting the village in shades of gold and red. The leaves on Aiko's vine began to change colour too. Then, one by one, they started to fall. Aiko watched each leaf let go. She felt a deep sadness in her heart. She told her mother a secret worry. She believed that when the very last leaf fell from the vine, she too would leave this world. Her hope seemed to fall with each leaf. Mr. Sato had thin walls in his little cottage. Sometimes he could hear sounds from next door. One afternoon he heard Aiko speaking softly. She was talking to her mother, her voice frail. He heard her words about the last leaf. He heard the fear in her gentle voice. A shadow of concern crossed Mr. Sato's kind face. He felt a sudden ache for the young girl. He understood her fragile connection to that vine. He often saw Aiko at her window. Her face was pale, her eyes large and wistful. She would just sit and watch the ivy vine. He saw the despair deepen as more leaves fell. He knew that feeling of watching hope dwindle. His heart went out to her, this little stranger. He wished he could offer her some comfort. He wanted to chase away the shadows from her eyes. He felt a strong desire to help her. An idea began to grow in Mr. Sato's mind. It was a quiet, gentle sort of idea. He looked at his collection of paints. He looked at the bare wall outside Aiko's window. He knew the ivy vine well. He had sketched it before. A small, determined smile touched his lips. He would not let her hope fall with that last leaf. He made a silent promise to himself and to her. He would try his very best. That night, a fierce storm arrived in Oakhaven. The wind howled like a hungry wolf. Rain lashed against the windows with great force. It was a wild and frightening night for everyone. Mr. Sato watched from his own window. He saw the last few leaves on the ivy vine. They fought bravely against the wind and rain. Then, under the cover of darkness, the very last leaf finally let go. It fluttered down and was gone. Mr. Sato knew he had no time to lose. He gathered his old wooden ladder. He picked out his finest brushes. He selected his richest green and brown paints. He wrapped himself in a thick coat and scarf. Then he stepped out into the raging storm. The wind pushed hard against him. The rain tried to soak him to the bone. But Mr. Sato was resolute. He had a mission to complete for Aiko. He carefully placed his ladder against the wet brick wall. It was slippery and dangerous in the dark. He climbed slowly, step by steady step. The wind whipped his scarf around his face, but he held on tight, thinking of Aiko. He reached the spot where the last leaf had been. He began to paint with skill and love. He painted a perfect ivy leaf clinging to the stem. It looked so real, so full of life. He worked for hours in the cold. When the morning sun finally peeked through the clouds, the storm had passed. Aiko slowly opened her tired eyes. She was afraid to look towards the window. She was sure the vine would be bare, but she had to see. She turned her head, and there on the vine was a single leaf. It was still there, bravely holding on. It hadn't fallen after all that wind and rain. A gasp of surprise escaped her lips. A tiny spark of hope ignited within Aiko's heart. The leaf was so strong, so determined. If that little leaf could hold on through such a terrible storm, then maybe she could too. A small, weak smile touched her lips. For the first time in many weeks, she felt a desire to get better. She asked for a little broth. She wanted to live. She wanted to be as strong as that amazing leaf. As the days turned into weeks, Aiko slowly began to recover. The sight of that steadfast leaf gave her courage. Every morning, Her first glance was to the window, and every morning the leaf was still there. It never fluttered, it never faded. It was her constant companion, her symbol of hope. She started to eat a little more each day. A touch of color returned to her cheeks. Her laughter, though soft, began to fill her room again. Sadly, Mr. Sato was not so fortunate. The long, cold night he spent in the storm had taken its toll. He caught a severe chill, which quickly turned into pneumonia. He was an old man, and his body was not strong enough to fight it. He grew weaker with each passing day. He stayed in his cottage, cared for by a kind village nurse. He never spoke of what he had done that stormy night. His act of kindness remained his secret. Mr. Sato passed away quietly in his sleep. His death was peaceful, much like his life. Aiko, now much stronger, heard that her kind old neighbor had gone. She felt a pang of sadness for the quiet artist she barely knew. She never learned that he was the reason for her recovery. She never knew that the leaf she cherished was a masterpiece of love. She continued to look at it, finding strength in its painted perfection. The painted leaf stayed on the wall for many years. It became a small, unnoticed miracle, a testament to a selfless act of kindness. Mr. Sato's quiet sacrifice had given Aiko back her life. His art had become a beacon of hope. Though he was gone, the goodness he had put into the world lived on. It showed how one small, loving action can ripple outwards, bringing light and healing in the most unexpected ways. True kindness never truly dies.